Hello, my name is Visklugers and welcome to Armored Warfare and the first tank review, and to the first proper tank review of the game. And today we'll be looking at the Wölfli 3 and the Leopard 1 at tier 3, which is one of the two main battle tanks on the Wölfli 3. The other one is the M60, but today's focus will be the Leopard 1. The Shishkin tree also has the T-62 as their main battle tank, and there is also the premium object 155, which I think is not purchasable, so it was a gift for people who participated in the stress tests and the closed beta testing. But anyways, the Leopard 1. So most of these stats are, I have gathered these stats to be unmodified. There may be here and there just a little bit tiny errors, but I've mostly tried to have it unmodified in every single tank review. So you can boost these stats. You can and you will boost these stats a bit more than what the statistics here will be. And I will not use the in-game statistic system precisely for that reason, because depending on the crew and the retrofits and stuff like that, the stats will vary, and you really can't have appropriate comparison if you have different gear and crew members in different tanks. So the first thing, the HP of the tank is actually fairly high. 1285 is a quite good amount of health for a tier 3 tank. As we can see, the average HP on the main battle tanks at tier 3 is 1161, so it's a bit more than 100 more. So you can take that maybe one big caliber shot more than you would in most other main battle tanks. And the average in tier 3 is just a slivering over 1000. So you do have a quite nice chunk of hit points. And then the armor of the vehicle. For people who know that this tank and have maybe played it in World of Tanks and whatever, you know that the tank does pretty much have no armor at all. The armor in the front is 70mm on the hull, 45 from the sides and 35 at the rear. The turret is 60 in the front, 60 in the side, and 50 on the rear. So really, your only chance of bouncing shells is that they come in extreme angle. At the front of the turret, you might, if you're extremely lucky, bounce a higher caliber shells. But mostly if you bounce something that's from autocannons that have like 75mm of penetration or 90mm of penetration, other than that, it's just every single shot that hits you is probably going to go in. So you have to play accordingly. The tank is very light, so how's the mobility then? Well, the top speed is 64.8 kilometers per hour, which is fairly good, very good. The main battle tanks have on average 53 kilometers per hour top speed, and the average on all tier 3s is 68.6. So the Leopard 1 is actually really fast, like main battle tank standards, and actually, and when comparing to armored fighting vehicles and light tanks, it ain't much slower. But the thing that really kills it is the acceleration. From 0 to 35 kilometers per hour, it takes 6.4 seconds. Now, when you compare it to the other main battle tanks, it's fast. You know, it's drastically faster. The average is 8.22. So yes, you are quite a bit faster than the other main battle tanks, but when you compare it to the tier 3 average, it's 4.19. So it's not ridiculously much slower, but you have to take into account that almost half of the tier 3 vehicles are the main battle tanks. So a lot of armored fighting vehicles and light tanks have like 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds of acceleration time. So that 6.4 is really sluggish. It takes quite a while for this tank to build up speed, but when it does build up that speed, it can go reasonably fast. The maneuverability is mediocre. It's not very good, but main battle tank standards, it's okay. It's pretty good for main battle tank, but in a tank in general, it's not that great. It turns, but it takes a bit of time to do that. Now, view range wise, 396 meters of view range, which is pretty good. On main battle tanks, the standard is 377, so it has reasonably good view range. The only other main battle tank that has remotely good view range is the T62 with 392 meters, with M60 and Object 155 having both 360, so they are very much blind in comparison. Now, what did come me as a very big surprise after playing a lot of World of Tanks, the camo value is bad in this tank. It's a lot worse than T62. The camo value in this tank is 0.1 exactly. So, for instance, the M60 has 0.05, which is abysmally bad, but the T62 has 0.17. So the camo on this thing is absolutely god-awful, so you will be spotted immediately when you come into enemy's view range. So what's the gun like? If the armor is bad, the mobility is a bit lacking, I feel, and the view range and the camo is, well, nothing to write home about. So what's the gun then? Well, the alpha damage is 263, which is around the average. The average is 266.75. So the alpha damage on this gun is average. The heat ammo, in the other hand, is lacking severely. Its alpha damage is 264, so it's only 1 point more than the AP. The average heat damage is 322, so there's quite drastic difference. Penetration wise, it has pretty good penetration. It has the best penetration of the tier 3 main battle tanks, which is 247, the average being 232. When it comes to the heat, it's also pretty good news. 193 millimeters of penetration. It drops very drastically from the AP, but it's a little bit over the average penetration of the other combined all main battle tanks at tier 3, which is 191. So the heat ammo, while the penetration is there, the alpha damage is not there. So pretty much this gun has been made to fire armor-piercing rounds, which can be a problem when shooting at lightly armored vehicles. The DPM on AP shells is 2367, which is 250 points higher than the average DPM on main battle tanks, but is severely lower than the overall DPM of tier 3. But you have to keep in mind that there's quite a bunch of armored fighting vehicles which have like ludicrous amounts of DPM because of their autocannons. The heat DPM is only 10 points higher. The 2376 points of DPM on heat is a bit lacking. It doesn't lack a lot, surprisingly, but it is lacking a bit from the average, which is 2468.5. So the rate of fire is 9 rounds per minute, and the reload is a grand total of 6.67 seconds. So the DPM is not that bad, but the heat is something that just is a little bit lacking. So how consistent is the gun? Well, the accuracy is 0.13, which is without doubt the best of the main battle tanks. The average of main battle tanks is 0.1675, so the 0.13 is pretty darn good. The M60 and the T62 have 0.17 accuracy, which is still okay, and the Object 155 has 0.2, which is already being quite bad. But the Leopard 1 is clearly a very accurate tank, and the aiming time is also the best of the main battle tanks, being 2.9 seconds. The average is 3.2 seconds, and the overall average is 2.89. So it is, it does aim pretty fast, and it is accurate. It is actually more accurate than the average on all tanks on tier 3. So it is pretty much a sniper. And the turret traverse is 29.12 degrees, which is okay. It could be maybe a little bit faster, but considering the limited mobility, it's not a problem. So the gun depression is 9 degrees at maximum, which is at the front, and at the minimum it's 2.5, which is not great, let's put it that way. It's not great, but most of the main battle tanks at tier 3 have pretty bad gun depression at the minimum. M60 having only 2 degrees, and the T62 and Object 155 having 4 degrees. But the maximum gun depression is a lot better. The M60 also has the 9 degrees. In general, main battle tanks have 7.5, and in tier 3 all have 8.15. So 9 degrees is very, very nice to have. So pretty much to summarize the vehicle, it has no armor, so you have to play with your HP pool. So what I've done is install a retrofit that adds the maximum amount of HP as possible to the vehicle, since you will be taking a beating and you cannot rely on your armor. So adding a 7.5% more health is a really good news. And the mobility, while the mobility is okay, you will see in the gameplay that it takes quite a while to build up some speed, and since the camo rating is pretty bad, you really want to lay in the backside, at least in the early game and maybe in the middle game, and who knows, maybe even in the late game, because the view range is not that bad. It depends on the situation. And the gun is very accurate, and it has reasonably good aiming time, and the DPM is average, let's just put it that way. And this tank is pretty much a sniper. In World of Tanks, you can really use your mobility and your camo rating to spot and harass and so forth. In here, you really can't. At tier 3, it's a pretty big vehicle. It has no armor, it's not that mobile, and it does not have any camo. So you pretty much have to be extremely lucky or superbly good player, or otherwise you pretty much have to lay in the back and snipe. I believe that's quite enough theory and digging numbers. Let's just take a look at how it does in gameplay. So this is a PvE game. We are on top tier, but we really cannot go really ham and just rambo around, because everything will penetrate our armor. So we try to be at the back and use the spots that the teammates are giving us to try dealing some damage. I'm using a lot of heat because I know I'm top tier, and it has around 200 millimeters of penetration. And I feel like that in the PvE mode, the vehicles do not have, the enemy vehicles do not have quite as much armor as they should have. I don't know, but that's what I feel like. I quite often do penetrate shots that I was like thinking, holy shit, doesn't that have quite a lot of armor? So quite often heat shells will do just fine. And there's quite a lot of tank destroyers in PvE which have no armor at all. So heat will do the full damage, unlike AP shells that will just overmatch every single time and will have like 25% of the damage reduced. So I'm playing pretty passively, because I know there's going to be enemies, and quite a bunch of enemies, and I'm alone.
Contraband, good job. We'll take that one out.
But I didn't want to go to the city, because there's just no place for this tank over there. So I decide to go forth, since nothing's happening. And there we go. A light tank. And we take almost half of its health off with a really nice high roll. But there we have it. First shot at us penetrates. But it wasn't major damage. And of course, miss, really badly aimed shot there. But I'm just afraid that artillery will start to take notice. And there we go. Luckily, we didn't take a lot of damage there. But now I'm pretty much stuck in this place, and there's an artillery, at least one artillery, and there's tank destroyers and light tanks all over the place. But luckily there's that small ridge that pretty much protects us from the artillery, and a lot from direct line of sight. The PT-76 being the tier 1 tank. But I really do have to be a little bit afraid of that, because he will penetrate my armor and do quite significant amount of damage. I can't really see that. So my friends are starting to be here, so I take the opportunity to go forward.
Incoming driver mode. Target down. Load heat.
I have to keep moving because there's at least one artillery. And there he is. A really annoying buggers.
Keep moving.
And leave him on a sliver of health. And of course, I don't know how, but that one missed. There he is. And now he's dead. Moving on. So, this kind of gameplay is what you need to develop. Of course, this being PvE, the AI is not extremely smart, but you have to keep the engagements at quite a long range. The longer the range, the better, because you have the superior accuracy and aiming time in most cases, and you do have pretty good penetration. So from here on we just go capture the base, and that's game over. Let's see the next gameplay.
There. Helicopters are en route to support you.
So this is a PvP game mode to show it in its, well, I don't know, natural environment. And it's all tier 3s. So it's even ground.
Driver, move out. Load heat.
So here you will see better the acceleration. And we're going in a slight downhill. Now we do get like 55 kilometers per hour, and it's pretty reasonably fast. But as soon as we get in to off-road, it drops to like 30 kilometers per hour. And we're just waiting for our team to come assist, because you don't want to be at the front and you don't want to be alone. Now the Scorpion and the Dragoon are also very, very lightly armored vehicles. And there we tried to go into T-62. I immediately start to load some AP rounds, because that bad boy has a lot of armor. There's no going through from the turret, and even the hull is pretty good, well armored. Not a pen. Even I think I tried to aim at the lower plate, but there we go in from the upper plate, because he was facing a bit down, so it flattened a bit of the armor. It was quite actually lovely high roll, but I'm really afraid of going up, because if I get spotted, they will really much punish me for that. I just try to use these bushes for concealment, and they're not making it easy. The Scorpion trying to spot them. There he is. And there he goes. I think in Armored Warfare the reticle is pretty well done. I mean, you notice that when I hovered over his turret, a large part of the reticle just went red and just said that nope, don't shoot there, it won't go through. And when I aimed down at the hull, it went immediately green, and yes, here you should put your shots. And it went through. Now we're being capped, and we're down by 2 tanks. So there's a lot of camping going on the other side of the map, and me with these 2 gentlemen are doing some pushing from this side. Now my plan was that I'd hope to take the enemy by surprise by coming from this flank, since the most of the enemy force is also on the other side of the map. And here you can see the mobility again. It's not slow by any means, but it's not fast. It's really not very fast. And this is just like full throttle. Now we get spotted, and there. So the element of surprise is lost. We're down by 3 tanks, and the enemy knows exactly where we are, and they're pointing their guns this way.
Identify target.
I have no idea why that didn't go in. Probably because it was heat shell. But still, lower plate and 200 millimeters of penetration should have gone in. I thought at the moment that I was shooting AP,
They hit the
but
breach.
obviously I'm not. So
Identify.
that was a brain fart from me. And in this situation you just know that, oh, you're too close, you're being spotted, the action is up front. I'm fucked, there's nothing I can do. The M60 has so good armor that he'll pretty much bounce everything I shoot at him, and I cannot bounce anything he shoots at me. He will hit me because
Identify
the
target.
ranges are so close.
Took a
And another
They got our
non-penetrating
back.
shot
Loader, heat.
because of the heat and the superior armor. So it's just game over. It really depends a lot on the map. Obviously, I haven't played this map like... I think I have played this map only on PvE mode, so I had like no idea where should I go. Probably should have gone to the other side of the map. Maybe there would have been better sniping spots. But yeah, what you gonna do? I added this replay just to demonstrate that when you can't get that ideal position where you can just snipe with impunity pretty much, you're fucked.
Driver, crank it.
You just get
Affirmative.
overwhelmed and you
Camper
die
target.
because you're not fast enough to run away, you're not fast enough to react to the
Load
situation,
Sabo.
and you cannot take a single hit. Every single hit will go through your armor and you will just die. Now, this map is a lot more favorable. A lot of open ground. Here I can get to a road, and I was on the on a downhill. So now the mobility is really coming handy. It's not that I really need it, but I'm able to go over 60 kilometers per hour, which is something very new to this tank, because it is very low to accelerate, except on hard terrain. Now here is my spot. I have a small hill where I can hide behind. There's no artillery in the game, so I don't have to worry about that. When I go over this small ridge or hill, I won't have to expose too much of my armor, and since I do have reasonably good gun depression, I can still keep shooting over it. And there was actually a first bounce I probably had ever in this tank, but it was an autocannon shot.
Load Sabo.
Good hit.
And here's the good accuracy in play. I was able to shoot almost halfway the map.
Load Sabo.
But you have to keep in mind that the shells do not immediately land on target. It takes quite some time that they get there, so I was unable to hit the other Leopard 1. Now, this is a little bit of a stalemate. I really don't want to go forward. I do want to hit that guy,
Loader.
even though I do take quite a lot of punishment for doing so. So maybe it wasn't that worth it. But my friendlies are not advancing, but the enemies are, you know, they're poking their nose.
Loader.
Good hit.
So I can
Hostile
pretty
PC.
much just sit here and plant my shots.
Identify.
Hostile PC.
Loader Sabo.
Quite unlucky to not hit that. So you will see that I'm switching between ammunitions quite a lot,
Loader.
Target hit.
because I do want to make sure that I will make the full potential damage. Now when I'm shooting at T62s and other stuff that has a really ridiculous amount of armor, I really have to shoot AP shells. But when I'm firing armored fighting vehicles and Leopard 1s, I really want to shoot heat shells.
Load heat.
Enemy destroyed.
Because if that shot would have been AP, there would have been a great chance that I wouldn't have made full damage. Now there I didn't even try to shoot heat shell,
Identify.
because AP will go in guaranteed. Heat, not so much.
Direct hit.
Loader, Sabo.
So, how do you know if you're having too much penetration on your AP shells? Now,
Identify.
whenever you hit, there comes in the middle of the screen, critical track damage it says now, and how much damage did you do. If you are making too much penetration, and with heat you cannot do too much, with AP you can. It will say, for instance, track hit or just hit, the damage that you did, and it will say overmatch. And overmatch is a bad thing. That will mean that their damage is reduced. Here you see hit, overmatch, 214 damage instead of something like 260 or 280. Now immediately when I oh no, but it really depends. There I made 250 with AP. It really depends on RNG. Now I have been doing a great work here, but now I'm alone. And there's two T-62s coming in, and even AP is bouncing right now. So I know I'm doomed. I try to make one shot. No, can't see anyone. I try to pull back. One last ditch effort. It bounces, and there we go. 500 damage, like that, just like that. These two guys did a phenomenal job. They weren't platooned together or anything, but they acted like they were. Now, let's just take a quick look. Let's just watch the rest of this replay. Our Leopard 1 he just died. Now we have an M60 and two Object 155s. And they're not platooned with together. The Object 155s are in a platoon, but both of their platoon mates have died. So they are in a different platoons. So there's a Dragoon, a Dragoon tank destroyer, and these two T-62s on the enemy team. And this Object 155 is really starting to feel the pain because the T-62 has a lot more alpha damage on its gun. And there's the Dragoon as well, and he's tracked. Well, shit. There he goes. So we're down one tank, and the M60 arrives to the action just a little bit too late. And now there's two of the enemy tanks against one of ours. So we're down to the last Object 155. And he's been spotted by the Dragoon. The Dragoon gets away. And the Dragoon is a fast tank destroyer. It can do, I think, 80 kilometers per hour pretty easily. Now, the Object 155 player is not an idiot. He saw on the minimap that, the Dragoon started to accelerate really fast on this direction. So instead of just facing the same direction or pursuing him, he goes to meet him. And surprise, surprise, there he comes, and there he goes. Now, he's alone against two T-62s. What are the odds? Not really good. He has half of his health remaining. But the Object 155 does have very low amount of hit points. The two T-62s, well, I think one of them was very close to dying, but the other one wasn't that close. So let's just skip a bit and There he spots the other T-62. And he's been spotted as well. Now I think he's thinking about going to cap, maybe. But then the enemy starts to cap. So capping the enemy base is no longer an option. He takes a peek. Does not seem to be there anymore. Turns back and there he is. Misses, unfortunately. Now I do believe that the T-62 is pretty much a one-shot. The T-62 is a one-shot if you shoot the heat shells, but if the AP shells have 256 alpha damage and the heat has 320, so with heat it's almost a guaranteed one shot. With AP it's a very lucky one shot if it makes it. But of course the heat has a lot inferior penetration. But now we're starting to have quite a big hurry to the cap circle. Let's just fast forward a little bit. And there he is, with a slivering of hit points, and oh god, he's spotted as well, taking fire from the front and from the flank. But this is very good position, providing cover from the right, because there's the ridge and also this bridge. Come on, you have 25 seconds to hit. And there he goes. So now it's 1-on-1. The enemy is a potential one-shot. And he, well, I think, you know, he's not a one-shot. He's pretty much, if the enemy is extremely lucky and sets him on fire, but other than that, it's gonna take 2 shots. So he's probably feeling pretty confident. And there he is! Bam! Probably was a heat shell. But regardless, oh man, I didn't believe that I'd win that game. I honestly thought that, you know, when I died, that's it. These two T-62s are going to mop our team clean. But no, our Object 155 taught them a lesson and snatched the victory. So how did we do? So we got 90,000 credits, 1,798 XP, and that's without any kinda daily doubles. 3,158 damage and 716 spotting damage. And I didn't honestly think that we would have done that well. I didn't honestly think that we would have done as well as we did. And when we take a look at the team scores, I was actually the best. I didn't feel like in that game that I was doing very well, but since I did die after 5 minutes and 6 seconds, I thought that this is one of these games. And I thought the Object 155 had like a monster game, and he did have a really good game. I'm not trying to say he didn't have a good game. He did have a really good game. It's just that he claimed a lot of kills, and he made probably quite a lot of bounces. You know, us, on the other hand, we claimed 2 kills, and we did a bunch of damage, and we were doing consistently solid damage. But we weren't doing anything like special. So the Leopard 1 is quite much a supporting role tank, as we did have here. We weren't the star of the show. The Object 155 pretty much was the star of the show. We were the one sitting at the back, giving some supporting fire, and that's pretty much what you should do in the Leopard 1. This tank was something that when the first time I noticed that holy shit, there's a Leopard 1 at tier 3, I need to get that, and this was the first tier 3 tank that I bought. I really wanted to like it. And it's not a bad vehicle, it's not bad, but it just leaves you the feeling, it just fills you with an empty feeling. I want to like this vehicle, but it's just not good enough in any of its characteristics. It does not accelerate fast enough, the DPM is not good enough, the penetration is not good enough, and the alpha damage is not good enough. So you have to be a sniper, but if you wanna be a sniper, you should be playing a tank destroyer, because they most likely have better guns. They have guns that are better suited for that. They are faster, and they have way better camo rating, and sometimes maybe even better view range. So I think this tank really doesn't feel like a main battle tank. It feels like a bad tank destroyer at tier 3. And it is just a shame. It is really a shame. Because the thing that why it feels like a bad main battle tank and out of place is because the other 3 main battle tanks do have armor, they do have quite a bunch of alpha damage, and they can take the beating, and they do deliver a beating as well. The Leopard 1 is like, it's consistent, let's put it that way, it's very consistent. You do consistently damage quite reliably, but it's not very good at adapting to situations, I feel. When you get surprised or rushed, you're dead. When you get spotted, you're dead. When you get to a close range combat, you're dead. So it's pretty much, well, I wouldn't say a one-trick pony, but it's quite close to that. And because it is a sniper, if you don't get a nice matchup and you do meet, let's say, tier 5 or even tier 6 vehicles that have like absolutely ludicrous amounts of armor, you're fucked. Because the only thing this tank has going for it is the sniping and the ability to penetrate armor with its AP shells pretty easily. If you can't do that, there's nothing you can do, because you're not mobile enough to take the enemy's flank. And when you get spotted, you have like no protection. You're not fast enough to dodge, you're not small enough to hide, and you don't have armor to bounce off enemy shells. So all in all, it's not a horrible vehicle. I think it's something like I think it's like a vehicle that is like, you either like it or you don't, and you know, it's never that simple. It's simple to say that you like it or you don't, but I mean, I don't hate this vehicle, but I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy driving it. It's very rare to get a moment in this vehicle that it just says, that feels like, oh, that was awesome. No. In the T62, you really get a lot of bounces, and maybe you connect a huge heat shell into someone's engine deck and blow half of its health off and set him on fire. And that's just like, oh yeah. But in this tank, none of that ever happens. So it's a consistent vehicle, and that's about it. So this has been the Leopard 1 tank review, the first proper tank review on Armored Warfare that I have ever done. I hope this has been good. Do leave some feedback on what wasn't, if there was something that really annoyed you or was maybe really good. I know that this video did stretch out to be extremely long, but if you did watch all the way through it, well, thank you. Thank you a lot. I do appreciate it. And I hope that you will check my other videos as well. So thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.